Alright guys, Happy New Year. I have to talk to both sides, but I get my presentation on both sides here. I am Erica Osborne. I'm on the THiNK real estate team, and there's Taylor Hudgens right there, Claudio, Valdivia right here. We are real estate agents. We primarily work with investors, though we love retail buyers and sellers, in case you have anybody. But we primarily work with investors who are doing all sorts of investing strategies and are from newbies to super experienced. So if you need anything, let us know. How to find us, there's all the little ways you can find us. Facebook, we have a private Facebook group for investors that are here local, so you guys can share vendors, things of that nature. Meetup.com, that's where we put all of our different events so that everybody can be notified. Bigger Pockets, all three of us are on Bigger Pockets. Connect with us if you're on Bigger Pockets. LinkedIn, we have a team page, and we all have individual pages as well. Instagram, at ThinkReTeam, Taylor does that. We'll be getting more and more active throughout the year. Instagram, or no, I already said that. YouTube, sorry, we have a little YouTube channel, and we do need to be more active on there, but we'll get there in 2020. Maybe it's a resolution. These are our upcoming events. So we have a cash flow game night. If anybody has ever played cash flow, I'm an accounting nerd, so it's a blast for me. And it's the Rich Dad Poor Dad cash flow board game. So we'll be doing it every month, alternating down here south side with the peninsula. And this month it is right here in that room right over there, and it's next Tuesday night. Investor, I have in here January blank. I didn't fill it in with a date, but Taylor, come on up and tell them about it.
Has anyone heard of InvestHer before? One? Okay, so InvestHer is a big women's investing networking group across the country. So we're starting a Virginia Beach chapter for all the local women here that invest to kind of support each other and help each other with our goals. Sierra will actually be speaking at the January meetup. We'll also have them every month, and we'll actually do them at Mermaid Winery. So hope to see you there. We're also on meetup.com. I can also add you to the email list that is going to be huge, hopefully. But I'll catch up with all the ladies throughout the night too, so it'll be good.
Not that you guys aren't important, but the ladies like to stick together here a little bit. So come join Taylor. All right, February Investor Meetup, the first Monday in February. We'll be announcing the topic by the end of the week this week. And then the Apartment Investor Meetup, I'll be going out of the country. So I won't be doing one this month, but next month we'll be back with the Apartment Investor Meetup near the end of the month. So, all right, that's all the housekeeping. Oh, bathroom. My awful description of where the bathroom is, but curve around here to the left and then follow the wall on the right, and you will magically find the bathroom somewhere back there. If you need water, there's a water tank out there, and other than that, we can get started. Tonight we have Jonathan New, who's sitting right over there. Jonathan, right there. Jonathan's going to be talking about scaling your real estate investing business. Over the last year, he has done a crap ton of stuff. So he's going to talk to you all about how he did that while working full-time in the Navy. So, and I'm going to start out with goal reviewing and how to identify your next step and take it. So, here we go. Let me make sure I hit all my things. Yes. Anybody have any questions to start? Good. All right. All right, goals. Simple, nice quote. It must be borne in mind that the tragedy of life doesn't lie in not reaching your goal. The tragedy lies in having no goals to reach. That is why we are here today. We're not here to make goals. How many people have sat down and done their goal setting for 2020? Most of these hands go up, which is not what's happening, but I would assume that you've all made a goal in some area of your life. If not, that's why you're here. What is a goal? The definition. This is a copy-paste from Google, the object of a person's ambition or effort, an aim or a desired result. Simple as that. All right, these are the areas in your life to make goals. You want to make them in more than one area so you're a little well-rounded, right? Yes? Yes. All right. Types of goals. All right, so I started from big and goes down into tiny, right? So lifetime. You can see on here anywhere from a year to an entire lifetime to achieve. Long-term, 5 to 10, 10-year goals, and that long-term goal will most likely support your lifetime goal. Short-term goal, it's a breakdown of your long-term goals. stepping stones, so breakdown of your short-term goals, and then you keep going down from there until you get some action items, guys. So,
If you need a goal sheet, just go ahead and raise your hand and I'll walk one over to you.
you're gonna be making one goal today. That's all I want you to make, one goal, if you haven't made one. Well, even if you have made one, you're gonna write one down. All right, SMART way. Who's heard of the SMART goals? Some hands, excellent. So SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. We've all made those gigantic goals where it's like, what the hell, how am I gonna pull this thing off? So this kind of puts you back in line and makes you think about the goal that you put, if it meets all of these different criteria. So it's a doable goal, that's time bound, which is always nice to know if you've tied it to a specific date or not. Relevant, if it is really a goal that can happen for you or not. Achievable, of course. Measurable, so that you have some sort of metric or benchmark or something to measure your success by. All right, SMART goal checklist. So these are some different questions that you can ask. They are on your little sheet right here on side 1, the second little box down, since we will be making a SMART goal today. So if you make a goal and you ask yourself these different questions, and then if you can answer these questions and your goal can answer the questions, then it seems like you probably have a SMART goal. What's next? Love this quote by Zig Ziglar. Goal properly set is halfway reached. I like to see some sort of benchmark. If I set a goal, oh my gosh, I've already succeeded and did something. So I hope that all of you leaving here at least have one little goal and some action items, and then you're halfway there, says Zig. All right, what's next, guys? Action plan. Takes as much energy to wish as it does to plan. So let's make a plan. All right, so what I did here is I broke down a goal of mine. So you guys can see, well, how I did it. So I start with a long-term goal. This is my big, tall goal, passive income of $10,000 a month. That's kind of my, throw it out there, that's what I want. Let's start building in below it. So this is my SMART short-term goal that supports my long-term goal. So add 20 units to my portfolio via multifamily purchases and development by the end of 2020. So now you break down your short-term goal into stepping stones. These stepping stones support this short-term goal that supports this long-term goal. So these are 3 different examples for me. Develop my piece of vacant land in Pensacola into a duplex. That adds 2 doors. Purchase 5 to 10 unit for my own portfolio with my current partner, 5 to 10 doors. Be an active member of a GP in a joint venture syndication for an apartment building of 5+ units. So those are 3 different things that roll up and help me achieve my short-term goal. I put it in another visual in case somebody sees things differently. So you can see kind of how it rolls up. My stepping stones support my short-term goal. My short-term goal supports my long-term goal. There are other short-term goals here. I just picked one short-term goal in order for this example to be fine. So, sorry guys, I don't have a clicker, I just have this beautiful mouse. Hang tight. Here we go. All right, the breakdown of my stepping stone. That's what's next, guys. This is where my actual action plan comes from. So I chose to break down, develop my piece of vacant land in Pensacola into a duplex. So these are 6 action items that I need to take. They're not the only action items that I need to take in order to develop my piece of land, but they're the six first ones that come to my mind. So move the land to my rental holding LLC from my flipping LLC. Research rental rates for Bed Bath Mixes. Talk with my contractor about general dollar per square foot. Building costs. Put together my construction budget for the development. Put together pro forma for the duplex after stabilization. And identify the amount of money I'll need to come up with in order to work the plan. So really what you're doing here is brainstorming. Now, put my action items in order and place an action date next to them. I can come over here. All right, so these are, again, my short-term stepping stones, sorry, my items. I rearrange them to go in order, and then I put an action date next to them. So really an action date for you depends on what it means to you. Is it a date you want to complete it by, or is it a date that you want to initiate that action? For me, my action items, I prefer for them to be something I can get done within sitting down for a couple hours and they don't stray into multiple days. Because I like checklists, and I like to check off a checklist. So that's why my action items are things that can happen fast and make me feel some accomplishment that'll keep the momentum going. So that's how I got down there. Now it's time to act on my list that I made. Again, I'm going out of town, that's why it's February dates. I'm not just lazy, so I'm not going to do anything for the rest of the month. So act now. Success is steady progress towards one's personal goals. So one email, one call, one analysis, one something will get everybody cruising in the right direction. So the sheet that you're going to see in front of you, guys, all we're doing here is we're creating a little plan. So you see side one. Look at your little sheet in front of you, side one.
Appreciate it.
Okay, lots of info on this little sheet. But at the top, everybody has a long-term goal, right? You can preferably a real estate investing goal because you're here for, I'm assuming, some real estate investing education. So long-term goal, I mean, you saw my long-term goal, $10,000 a month in passive income. So somebody's got to have something. So you write that down there, okay? Now you're going to make your short-term goal that we're going to make an action plan out of. So all you do, you have your short-term goal right here. You're going to just double-check it that it meets all the different SMART criteria. Then here's a little checklist with the questions. So you're going to go through those questions and just make sure, and you're going to revise it if it wasn't that smart to begin with. And then you're going to copy it to the other side, and this is where you start to make your little action plan. So side 2. So you copy your long-term goal, short-term goal, and now you create your stepping stones. What are 3 things that you could do to help support that short-term goal? Then you pick one of your stepping stones, like I did, with developing my piece of vacant land. And then you come up with 6 action steps. For me, 6 is a great number because I'm not overwhelmed at 6. That's fine. Yes, there might be 100 things that I need to do, but at least I'm staring at tiny pebbles versus staring at a giant mountain of 100 things. The goal is to just get started. And then you reorder your action steps into an order that makes sense and isn't just verbal diarrhea because you're trying to come up with your 6. And then you assign an action date. And this top one right here, guys, simple as that. You start here. That's it. So if you're new to real estate investing, how many people are new to real estate investing? New investors. That's excellent. Welcome again. Obviously, you know, this year is to just make some progress forward in investing, right? Whether it's educate yourself more, you know, find out where you're at, and then move that next step from here. So, I am going to give you guys, you're going to have 5 minutes. I do want you to run through this sheet if you can. You don't have to, but you should. I don't know why everybody wouldn't want to leave here with one action item. And then maybe if a couple people could share their next action item. That would be great. So right now, you have 4 minutes. And then Jonathan can come up and you guys are done listening to me. So please, 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 please. Here, no pen? I'm just kidding. A Lowe's ad, that's very appropriate. Or you should not bring a pen. Hey, W2. I'll let Jay know that you were wearing that.
Oh, yeah.
sorry.
In his pocket, you want to give it to me? What an ass, huh?
He is. But we love him.
Dude,
2 minutes,
seen the movie
guys.
Pineapple
Just
Express?
one more.
Seen the movie Pineapple Express?
Yeah.
Change the LLC.
Come on in.
Just sit right here. Like.
Thank you. Excuse me.
Exercise right now. It's a short-term goal of what you want to get accomplished in real estate this year. Short-term, long-term goal. You should go along with it.
Okay. That's all that I do. Hey, by the way, at the end of the day, Kit Brown is out for signature on the plan. We had 10 Christmas days, right? We can all the holidays. But, so that's cruising forward. Alright guys, I gave you 4 minutes. I just need 4 people to share with me what their action item is. And Josh, you're definitely gonna be one of them.
All right.
Just need your action item.
Oh, action item, 20 plus unit apartment complex this year.
That's not, that's your short-term goal. Flip on the other
No,
side of that
long
sheet.
term.
That's long-term?
Yeah, this year.
But what about your action item?
Oh, one action item?
Bottom of the sheet, there's that black square that says the next
Oh,
step.
my bad, I'm sorry.
That one.
Start backwards? Okay, yeah, call and press rent rolls and expenses.
All right, what's your date for that?
That's gonna be the 15th
Okay.
of this month.
All right, awesome. Somebody else. This side of the room, one person.
Sell my property
Claire.
in Jacksonville.
Okay.
Sell my property in Jacksonville to use the equity to purchase the duplexes I want to buy.
All right, is that your action item?
That's my action. I gotta sell it. You gotta sell it.
Well, what's the next step you need to take in order to do that?
List it.
Right, do you already have an agent down there?
No, I'm waiting for my tenant's credit to be better.
Okay. Oh, a patient landlord right here. That's excellent from a tenant standpoint.
Yeah.
All right, Larry.
Remodel kitchen in single-family home in preparation for sale in single-family home.
Right.
Move into a duplex on a house.
Okay, that's awesome. When's your date?
Don't have that yet.
We need you to have a date on your action item, Larry. At least a start.
March 30th.
Okay. All right. It's a little further out there, but I'm into that. All right, 2 over here. And Calvin.
All right, which one do you want?
Your action item, the next step you need to take to move forward. So the one in the little black square with the cloud next to it.
Alright, so because I'm new to real estate investing, I feel like a really good action item would be to read at least one investor article per day and sort of like build my knowledge on that. And I guess the long term, for like, let's say 5 years, I guess 5,000 in passive income. I'm still new, I don't expect to be like, like where you're at in 5 to 10 years, but, and then,
Easily.
yeah, we'll say short term for that would be add 5 units by the end of 2020, but I'm a slow rider, so that's kind of all I got right there.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
No, thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sierra. Oh, I'm so sorry. Then I'll come over
I'm
here.
gonna find $65,000 for a sixplex.
So you found a sixplex. You need $65,000 in order to make it happen.
20%.
All right. Just put that out there.
He's the second one.
Raise your hand for real.
All right, you guys talk after this. Awesome. Sierra.
I said, talk to Dan at ABB about refis.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Guys, those are excellent action items, meaning that tomorrow you could go sit in your office or after work, because I know a lot of you are full-time W-2 employees, and you can make that one action item happen. The whole thing is about momentum. For me, when I see that beautiful backward check mark, because I'm left-handed, man, it just keeps things cruising. So thanks for your time. Jonathan's going to come up, then he's going to do some Q&A. So he's gonna chat all about his last year of excitement with you guys, so go for it. Jonathan!
All right, so I'm Jonathan New. I own J New Investing, which is my parent company. That parent company owns like 6 other LLCs and partnerships and whatnot. I'm up here just to talk about what I did, my struggles, balancing the Navy and real estate and my family as well as starting this business up. I recognize there's a few guys have already done this kind of stuff in the back, so please don't think crazy of me here. This is a very it's an intimate thing that I'm posting up here. This has been my entire life for the past year. So I appreciate you all being here and listening to me. So that being said, I'm in the Navy. I've been in for 15 years. I graduated from Auburn in Alabama. Yes. And to those who don't think the RT word, sorry. But I've been selected for 05, depending on in September, so I'm doing some things right. I'm responsible for a large organization on the USS George Washington.
Yeah, we're on there.
Yeah? She's a fun ship, isn't she?
Sure is.
She is. We're in Newport News. We're getting refueled, so I won't see the ocean on her flight deck, which is not a bad thing because I get to go home to my family and also to buy property as well. So spending time with my family, I've got 3 kids, 7, Spencer's 7, Robert's 5, and Aubrey has just turned 3. So I get to go home and wrestle with them all the time. It's definitely my highest priority, and it takes up as much time as I can give them. The Navy takes anywhere between, our working hours from 07 to 2:30 in the afternoon, so it's nothing crazy. It can be managed, and even then I usually let myself off early because I'm a little bit senior. All right, so what I've done is I bought my first apartment. I bought my first flip in August 2018. It was a triplex in Ghent. And I thought it would be a great idea to turn the thing into a single-family house and take it from a $200,000 house to a $600,000 house. Oh, little did I know. So my budget was $145,000 on this thing. I ended up spending $210,000 on it, and we listed it on the MLS in March of 2019, and I finally got it rented out a couple weeks ago. Challenges associated with it: it didn't have off-street parking, and it didn't have a backyard. I thought, no, it's not a big deal. It's Ghent. That's what people do. It's urban living, right? I also thought it was beautiful rehab, so it'd sell quick, but it didn't. People again apparently want the old school stuff, and new kitchen, new bath, and old school everything else. So lesson learned. Over the long term, it's going to be a very good property for me. It barely cash flows, but it does cash flow, and it's appraised at $496,000. So over the course of the next 10 to 15 years, that's going to be a decent property for me. So I bought my second investment in April of 2019. It was this tiny, tiny little burr. I had an amazing contractor who was in the back, worked for me, did this project for me, and it turned out to be a perfect burr, an absolutely perfect burr. I got $5,000 back at closing, so I made money at closing, and it cash flows $150 a month, in addition to all the other positives of real estate investing. After that, I decided to start raising money. I didn't think it was possible, and then I networked, and then I got into loan after loan after loan after loan, partnerships and partnerships and partnerships, which kind of bit me a little bit, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But it allowed me to pick up 22 new rentals between April and essentially October of last year. So power of partnerships, that's what it's all about. There's a lot of people that have money just sitting around. A lot of people are maybe scared or don't have the experience and they want to get into it. I found those people, and we built up a portfolio that's worth a little around $4.5 million, and we generated the equity, $600,000 to myself after including partnerships and whatnot. It's imaginary money. That 600 grand is absolutely imaginary. That's with the 80%. So that's just sitting in the loans after I pay people back. So that's how I did it. I've been a part of a syndication, 2 syndications actually. They both failed for different reasons. The first one was a $3.5 million student housing in Greensboro that we released because the refinance appraisal the year before was $1 million less than what we had offered with a very similar NOI. If you don't know, you value multifamily based off the income that it provides. That's it. That's really it for multifamily. And so we were definitely overpaying, so we released that. I've gotten into a small wholesale venture with a couple of guys. I pay their marketing, and then they let me pick out the first deal if I want it, or I take a very small portion of their wholesale assignment fees. We just started a couple months ago, so we're still struggling with that. Done 5 flips, and I've done a tear down new build that's still in the works. Love you, Justin. Love you guys. And then renovations. I do a lot of burrs and flips, and I've done $1.1 million worth of renovations the past year. Oh, and I also got a 34-unit apartment complex under contract as of today.
Cool.
Thank you. All right, so the why I scaled, and this, I'm sure this applies to a lot of people. I've had many great bosses in the Navy, but that doesn't change the fact that I hate having to be interested in what my boss is interested in. That's one thing that the Navy breeds into us, is if your boss is interested in it, you should be passionate about it. If your boss is just mildly fascinated, you should be all in on that. That doesn't fly with me. I'll go through and I'll attack what they want, but I'm not going to be passionate about it. You can't force people to be passionate about other people's agendas and driving other people's agendas. I'm going to drive my own agenda, you know? So when I retire from the Navy, I want to be my own boss. I want to see, but more so than that, I want my kids to watch the work that I'm putting into this. And this is the intimate part. I want to ingrain in my kids the value of hard work and building something for their own. I definitely want them to see that. Sorry. All right. I also want to see what I can build. I want to see how big I can get this thing, this company of mine, and what I can do safely, and see what kind of limits I can challenge myself with. All right. So, like I talked about, we did burr investing. These are some of my criteria for the burrs. Not every burr is going to be perfect. It's very difficult to buy a perfect burr in this market. So as long as the cash on cash is at least 25%, that's a decent burr for me.
What is a burr? What's a burr?
Sorry about that.
What's a burr?
Sorry about that. It's buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat.
Oh, okay.
So basically what you do is it's like a flip that you turn into a forced appreciation.
Okay.
And they keep it up. I've raised a lot of money since I started, across a bunch of LLCs and promissory notes. And I've also offered out capital partnerships to a couple of people when they just give me a sum of money, and I'll let them have a portion of the parent company, which is J New Investing. And that partnership will last for 4 years, and then I'll give them back their money, and then they'll maintain a tiny percentage of my actual company. It's a way to bring in some money now when I'm trying to grow, and give them a lifetime of income as well. It's got to be a trusted partner, and I don't really give this out because I'm trying to get out of debt to other people. That's my next big goal, definitely, to eliminate all owner debt. Systems integration. Having a system is paramount to scaling a business. You can't do everything by yourself, and I've struggled with efficiencies all over the place. So I got a VA who helps me pay all my bills. She goes out and takes pictures of property. So she's really more of an assistant than a VA per se, because she'll actually visit places for me and help me scout out places, take pictures of properties that I own. And that's really all she does for me right now, but I'm gonna test that out with this 4 unit coming up. I don't have a bookkeeper, so my bookkeeper is me, and I need to offset this at the earliest convenience. And when I do eventually get out of all the debt and I can afford to pay people, I'm gonna get a project manager who can go and basically be me on a project, because it really does take all that you have to manage all the projects and get them across the finish line with the way you promise your partners. And property manager, I would never recommend property management to anybody. I'm sorry for all the property managers out there, but I don't know my tenants' names, my tenants don't know my name, and that's the way I prefer it. This is my setup. So I've got J New Investing, and then I got all these different partnerships, one of which only owns a sixplex, which we also bought for exactly what you're buying your sixplex at, the low 300s. Perfect. My portfolio, yeah, you see it. My growth targets, this has changed a little bit. My growth target was 10 to 20 flips per year and 50 or more doors per year. But right now what I really want to do is scale back a little bit and start focusing on stabilizing my portfolio and getting all my debt paid down. That way I can grow out more later, in a year or two. And then my wholesalers, I'll continue to fund them as long as they continue to find deals. Yeah, we talked about systems. Deal finding, that's very difficult in this market right now. Claudio, how many wholesale deals have you seen on the MLS, or good deals have you seen on the MLS lately?
How many good deals I've
How
seen?
many good deals have you seen on the MLS?
I haven't shot out any in a while, so it's been a minute.
Right? It's a crazy market right now. But there are great wholesalers out there who do offer good deals, and so your job as a deal to get into more deals is to go out and find these wholesalers, this off-market stuff. There will be some things that come on the market, but for the most part, it's all off-market stuff. So boots on the ground and deal scouting, you really need to, when you first start out, you need to lay eyes on everything. Or you can find somebody you trust their opinion on to go lay eyes on a rehab, and they can be able to tell you about what that would cost. Contracting teams, this is such a difficult thing to break into, is finding a right contractor. I've known so many people who found a contractor who has quit on them. They use all the money to pay off other projects, and they just basically screw the investor. But I was very, very lucky in that I found 2 contractors on my first 2 deals, and I haven't looked back since. So a lot of the stuff that I do is just hard work and just banging my head against a wall until I break through it. But some of it actually is a lot of luck and meeting the right people through these meetups and just jumping in and being lucky. I've used a lot of lenders. There's a lot of great lenders, there's a lot of bad lenders out there, and I've just found a few that I love through trial and error. Across 17 properties, I've had 5 or 6 different lenders, and I've definitely got my top 3, and I can share those with you after we get done with here, more a one-on-one type thing. But that really is just a lot of trial and error too. You figure it out.
What does trial and error look like? Pick up the phone and start where?
Pick up the phone, call people, actually do deals with the lenders, do refinances with different lenders, hard money loans, private money loans. There just really is an endless amount of options, and that's what stinks about real estate at the same time, is that there is an endless amount of options, and you can analyze until you're blue in the face and you end up not taking action on anything. important part is just to take action. If you want to scale a business, just take action. Just analyze and then jump in and learn along the way. Don't just jump in without analyzing.
Hey, Jonathan.
Yes, sir.
So what kind of questions do you ask these lenders and whatnot when you're setting up a deal or?
Rates, closing time, appraisal needed, money required. Do they care if the money has to come from the buyer? Because that's if they need the money to be seasoned through the buyer, then they're going to require that buyer to be a part of your LLC, and that's a huge pain in the butt to make a person a 1% owner of your LLC just to get into a deal and all the headaches that come with that.
I got you.
Let's see. We talked about some operations and financial management. This is where I struggle so hard. I enjoy going out and finding new properties, coming up with a rehab, and getting the overall strategy for a project. But when it comes down to making sure, I hate to say it, but making sure the utility is paid, I need my VA. I recognized that pretty early on and outsourced that to make it better. Cash flow management, bookkeeping. My wife helps me out with that a lot because I suck. And this part right here is the single most important part about scaling a business is networking. These meetups and meeting professionals that know what they're talking about and want to be around other professionals and are excited about this, passionate about this. That's really where you're going to make all your money. It truly, truly is. I can't begin to describe how important that is. It's also very important if you're going to do a BRRRR to have the back end, the exit strategy. Exit strategy is where it's at. I had a very poor exit strategy on my first flip, my first project. I was flip or bust, and I ended up having to refinance it around 69% just to make sure that it would cash flow. And I'm still struggling with that. But as with everything, I'm going to bang my head against this door until I get through it. All right. Partnerships and capital raising. There's a billion different ways to do this. There is no right or wrong way, really. I mean, there are stupid ways, but you're still getting across the finish line. So you can do it through an LLC, you can do it through a joint venture, you can do it through just promissory notes or a handshake. I've done all four. The handshake is, you gotta really trust that person. And then for promissory notes, I've done anywhere between 12 to 20% annualized return or a flat rate return too. A lot of people will do a flat rate return on like a 6-year note. Just because some of these unsecured loans are risky. So they're gonna want hefty returns. And then when we do projects, the return is always 50-50. Generally what I do is I get somebody to fund the acquisition, and then I'll split the returns with them 50-50, because I'm providing the deal finding, the management, and the general headaches of the whole project itself, other than the capital raise. So we split everything 50-50. All right, so the dangers of capital raising. This is also important. And if you don't start off with a large capital available to yourself, and you still want to scale, you're kind of stuck at either finding perfect home runs or going out and raising money and getting partnerships. So what happens if your A or B is right at the time, but a year later it comes low, your appraisal comes back low? What happens if your refinance process takes way longer than you thought it would? And what happens if it just sits on the market and you're paying the hard money lender $4,000 a month of interest-only payments for 8 months? It chokes the life out of you. So you end up having to raise more money to be able to cover that while your property is stabilized, it's not performing for you. Yeah, lots of sleepless nights. That's what it boils down to. So you gotta be able. My advice would be not to flip luxury houses, which I didn't learn until my second luxury house. And stay within this ARV range of anywhere between 170 to 250. That's your best way to be able to ensure that your exit strategy, you appeal to a larger number of buyers, and you probably be able to rent it out with a 75 or 80% loan to value loan, so it won't be completely hosed. Yeah, lots of lessons learned, hard ways. You gotta budget for overages. My triplex that I bought in April, we actually had $30,000 of overages of stuff that you just can't see. You can't see behind walls, to plumbing, to electrical. But you gotta have it in there, or else you're faced with overages, and what do you do if the overages fall on you? You capital raise. You go through and you find more notes, and it just adds up and up and up. Just make sure you got at least a 10% overage budget for your Tetris or something like that. Get on your email and network with people. Contact lenders, contact other people. Try to find some deals. Don't ever have downtime. If you want to scale a business, don't ever have downtime. We're also not going at sea. So, I mean, I am in the Navy, but it's not as arduous as it would sound. The Navy is also my third priority of the three. I know that's going to irk a lot of people, but it just is. I've got 5 years to go, and I've got goals, and the Navy's not going to be able to provide those goals for me. Yep. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but it's just the truth. It's just the truth at this point. All right, so balancing my family. Family's my number one priority. They have to be. That's why I do all this. So I have hard stop times. I say from this time to this time, I will not touch my phone. I am watching Paw Patrol and Frozen for the 8th time that day, or whatever it is I need to do. Dinner with the kids. You have to make time for it. You have to set aside time. It's just stressful, and it does spill over to my family, unfortunately. Sleepless nights, you get tired, you get stressed, you dwell on things, and like right now, I really wish there was wine in this instead of water. Jill manages my calendar for me. She tells me where I need to be, when I need to be there. We got play date tonight. We got this going on here. Show up or die. I'm also, so for the over communication part, you cannot stress that enough, because communication with your spouse to know exactly what's going on in your life while you're knee deep, head deep in the schputz of running a business is paramount. Jill manages our family financial management. I also don't have time to cut my grass or to clean the house, so we went out and got a lawn guy and a maid. And personal health. This was the first thing to go for me. It's absolutely right here, man. I was 20 pounds lighter 2 years ago, but my stress management is just horrid. My eating is horrid. I used to be able to work out. Don't have time for that anymore because I've prioritized other things over that. It's just not as important to me to be at a 16% body fat. I'm okay being 25, apparently. Travel time and vacations, you gotta make it happen though. Sometimes you just gotta say my mental health is more important than everything else. And it's tough, it really is tough, because you got things that are pushing you to feed the machine even more and more and more. But sometimes you just gotta stop, decompress. I've talked about a lot of my failures already. My Navy career has hit a stall. I'm not gonna make 06. I'm okay with that. But a few years ago, that would have killed me. My life goals have just changed since then, and c'est la vie at this point. Let's see, we talked about grading. That was a fantastic failure, though. That allowed me to scale, and if I hadn't have scaled, then I would have quit. I would have quit real estate investing because of that first failure. I guarantee you I would have quit. Jill would have made me quit. And if your spouse is on board, what's the point? So I have fallen out of balances quite a few times. It's almost impossible. You can still balance your three lives: your Navy, your job, your real estate, and your family. But there was one time I was at Trig and my boss called me up from the ship and yelling at me because I didn't have a great concept of what was going on with our fire main work. So I had to take that one to the face. I was okay with that. Like I talked about sleepless nights and being on the computer looking at deals, trying to network with people, and all of a sudden your kid comes up, jumps on you when you're not expecting it, and you snap. I've done that once or twice, and I'm not proud of it. I'm a human being, whatever. And then, oh man, who's done deals? Who's done deals? The final 3 days before closing, when everything goes to crap, isn't it the worst? Oh, appraisal's not ready. Lender has new criteria you gotta meet. Oh man, it's just the worst. Then I stink at follow-up and communications, specifically with my contractor. He gives me so much crap because we'll talk about something and I'll just connect the dots like a Jurassic Park dinosaur with DNA that's been just filled in. The gaps are filled in. I'll fill in gaps and miscommunicate and just stumble over myself sometimes. It can be not fun, but you work through it. And then I get caught up in the business growth, figuring out what my next step is. Everybody's heard there's no roadmap to building out a business. Everybody's path is going to be different, so you just got to figure it out as you go. And it is all consuming. It truly, truly is. And that's all I got. I kind of breezed through a lot of it just because I am nervous. So.
I got a question. Why'd you pick a pineapple for your logo?
Great question. That is a great question. So one day when I was picking out my logo, I was thinking, should I do something like that's not even related to real estate? Should I just do a house like everybody else does? What should I do? And I was like, hey, Robert, my middle son, he was 3 at the time. I said, hey, Robert, what is your favorite food? And he was trying to learn. My wife put him in French lessons. And he said, ananas. I said, okay, great. It's a pineapple. Thanks, man. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Cool, so ask a 3-year-old what the logo should be. Got it.
Exactly. Exactly. He runs the world.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you said on your flips that you have an investor come in and buy the property, pay for everything, and you do all the work, right? And then at the sale, you guys split the profits.
Correct.
So how does that work if your intention is to BRRRR the property, as far as them, wanting ownership, title of the house to protect their interests just in case you flake, but you want to make sure that you get the house back because you intend to keep it as a rental when the deal is done.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that?
Yeah. So we split everything 50-50. The equity is split 50-50. I put it into a commercial loan, and let's see. I'm not sure. I want to make sure I understand.
Maintain exclusive ownership of the property once the rehab and all that is over. You perpetually, you own it 50-50 and you cash flow 50-50? Okay.
That's correct. Yep. So we started off with a hard money loan to get the rehab done, just basically because I haven't met the private money people that can fund the entirety of the rehab and purchase. So I'm still forced to do the hard money loan. So the investor will come in, they'll give me the 20 grand for the down payment, And then when it's all done, I'll refinance out, return as much of the money as I can, and then we'll split everything 50-50 from there.
Okay, questions. The properties that you're getting, your investment properties, are they in this area?
Yes.
Or-
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all
so
in
the
Hampton
market is
Roads.
good in Hampton Roads now?
The rental market, it depends. It really depends on where you want to go. And it's a great question. It depends. Some of the 7 cities are better than others as far as like, it depends on what you want to accomplish too. So for instance, like Portsmouth is gonna cash flow a little bit better than like Virginia Beach will. But then again, it also depends on that, because you can do a Virginia Beach short-term rental and make that thing cash flow like crazy. So I mean, you can make a strategy from almost any project. Yes, ma'am.
It sounds like your assistant is local.
Yes, she is.
How did you find her, and does she work for you full-time, or how do you?
So I found her through my contractor. We were starting up a small trucking company, and he said, "Man, you need to get more efficient at things." So he introduced me to this girl that also knew trucks. So she does VA, and she also does truck stuff.
She's not a VA, she's in person.
And in person VA. Yeah.
So between the trucking and the real estate, she works for you full-time?
Yes. Well, the trucking is more of I don't really do much of that at all. I focus all on this stuff, and I've got a small percentage of that. And but yeah, she does. Yes, ma'am.
All right, how did you get people to offer you money with barely any experience?
Graydon turned out really nice, and it had a lot of potential. People saw that potential and decided to jump in on that track record alone. And then I started doing more projects that also turned out to be beautiful. And so it was that track record that attracted people.
Where did you meet your partners?
It's a great self-plug there, Erica. All right here. All right here. All
Can
right
you
here,
raise your
and one
hand
from
if
bigger
you've done
pockets.
a deal with Jonathan?
Say what?
I bet we'd have multiple hands raised.
Yeah.
If who's done a deal with you?
Yes, sir.
Do you have somebody that does the analytics, or you've always done the analytics from the get-go? Like
I do
worst
the
case?
analytics.
Okay.
I have this spreadsheet that I've built over the past year. It is a complete rat's nest to everybody except for me. Like, I look at it and it makes perfect sense. I can just plug in a couple numbers here and there, and it tells me exactly which lender I need to go to, what strategy I need to do, what my cash flow will be. It tells me everything.
Is there a need for folks to do analytics for investors and contractors, or not really?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure there's people, I'm sure there are investors out there that struggle with analytics. That is definitely, if that's something that you are strong with and enjoy, I guarantee you that there are people out there that would love to partner with you. Guarantee it. Yes, sir.
So I think you said on your BRRRRs, you did 25% cash on cash return, I believe, but only cash flowing $100 a month. So are you pulling money out when you refinance and reinvesting that back into your business?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yeah.
So that's where the 25% comes from, or?
Yeah, 25% cash on cash. It has to be at least that. Otherwise, it's just kind of weak and doesn't cash flow very well. Ideally,
you're pulling the money
it'd be-
out so you can use it, though, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pulling out as much money as I possibly can to redistribute out. Honestly, 25% cash on cash is still a kind of a weak BRRRR. It's very weak, but I mean, you're not going to get 25% return on investment in the stock market. You can. I mean, I think the stock market did 29% this past year, but that's kind of a rarity. You'll probably lose money here pretty soon. It'll bounce out. Sierra?
So I'd almost rather die than ask people for money. Any tips?
It's awful. It is awful asking people money. But sometimes it's needed. Sometimes you're desperate for it. Just to meet your obligations. And it is truly awful. And that's why my big goal for 2020 is to get free and clear of needing to do that.
Has it gotten easier though? Because I think I need to at some point to break past something to be able to ask for money. It's really, really hard. Like, has it ever gotten easier? Has there been any like more positive?
Sometimes it just falls in your lap. People email you out of the blue and say, hey, I'd love to do a deal with you. I want to give you some money and go find a deal. Like, I literally got that email once from somebody I had no idea. Yeah, once. But it happens. Yes, sir?
So I would say to that note is you're offering people an opportunity to earn a return that they can't normally get. So you're not asking or begging for money. You're legitimately giving them a way to participate in what you have. So it's not a beg. It's just saying, passive play. If you're interested, great. If you're not, you're not. This is what I pay.
Absolutely.
They might be looking for you. Yeah.
Yes, sir?
So, I heard you say earlier, you take as much equity as possible. Do you ever leave some in as like a buffer? If you have like, say, 18 properties, just in case when you had to sell, or no? You take the max out?
I take the max out.
Okay.
Yeah, 75 to 80%. Yes, sir?
As a wholesaler, what's the best way to add to my buyers list?
Right here, man. Everybody's a buyer right here. Man.
How much of your own cash, excuse me, do you have in your portfolio?
Unfortunately, it's all in grading right now. And that's about 60K.
So your first
No, it's
deal,
actually 100K.
you put your first deal, right? Graydon was your first deal. You put cash into that deal. Off the go.
Let me back up. My own cash?
Yes.
My own cash, Jonathan News cash.
Yes.
I've got 20K in grading. Everything else is OPM.
Now, see, guys, I just want to point out, 24 doors,
24, soon to be 66.
but you have only 20K was your actual investment.
Correct.
I'm just showing the fact that you can scale with a small, with a little amount of cash.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people do it with no cash, but I
It-
just wanted to point that out.
It's unnerving.
Oh,
It's
sure.
unnerving when you pull that much money together, and it is seen as risky by a lot of people. So I would definitely weigh that when you start to scale out your business.
You use the term doors. You say 20 doors, 50 doors. What do you mean by doors?
Tenants.
Tenants.
Different
Okay.
tenants.
All right. Use use some terminology here, so we know what you're talking about. Doors. Okay, gotcha.
Yes, ma'am.
No problem.
I got you.
Okay.
Have you ever had to do like a short sale to rebalance your portfolio, or no, you never got to that?
I haven't got to that. I've been doing it for a year.
Okay, got it.
Jonathan, on that note, it's been a year. It's been actually, what we say, 16 months, 18 months?
16 months, something like that.
So it's been 16 months since you did your first deal, and now you're 66 deals, right? Or 66 doors.
Tenants.
Talk about the level of confidence that kind of went into that, right? Because the first deal, Graydon, we spent an hour walking around with your little checklist, and now we do a FaceTime, and it's like, yeah, my rehab cost is gonna be this. Offer this. Talk about
Do
what
$1 million
that comes
worth
to.
of rehab, and it just comes.
Talk to them about it.
So yeah, my first deal was like, it started off, it was a full gut triplex, and how do you do that? Before Melanie left, she had this rehab sheet that she was sending out, and it doesn't have in there full gut. Like, how much does it cost to remove every single wall inside of a first floor and a second floor, and then the third floor wasn't even full, but everything else was, and I just had to go with the $40 a square foot rule on that one, and ever since then, we've done small deals and small rehabs and rehab after rehab after rehab, and you get the experience with it, and with the experience comes the confidence, and with all the mistakes comes wisdom, and I need to make more mistakes because I need to get more wise.
So do you ever just
invest with me? I'm gonna make mistakes.
Okay, so you ever just get a lot? You ever just get a lot and anybody just build on it? Have you gone that route? Has anybody gone that route?
I have looked and looked. I'm sure there are guys in here that are way more experienced than that, that have found build. I'd love to do it.
Me too. And I
It
have a
sounds so
couple.
awesome,
Yeah.
doesn't it? To
Really?
build something
Yeah.
like from scratch?
Yeah, yeah, I have one, I
Sounds
just
amazing.
don't know what to, yeah, okay. So
'Cause-
anybody wanna work with that, I mean, I have a lot.
I mean,
Couple of
builders are
buildable
gonna
lots.
charge you in between 70 to $100 a square foot to build a house. You might be able to find one that's cheaper than that, but $70 is about the cheapest I've found to build a house. So your ARV needs to be it also depends on what you buy the lot for. That ultimately is what kills the deal that I've seen.
Mhm.
So it's the lot price, what it costs to tear down, what's on there.
It's nothing on there.
Okay, so it's just a blank lot, blank
Yeah.
slate. All right, then your ARV should probably be, I don't know, somewhere around 150 to $170 a square foot, which is tough. It's very difficult to find that. Yes, sir?
When you're doing a BRRRR, you said you mentioned 3 lenders you like to work with. What are some of the criteria that they require for you to like get a really good finance as far as how long the property stabilized, like
Yeah.
where it's at, what it's worth? Can you talk through some of those things?
Okay, so lenders are gonna look at, it depends on the lender again. They'll look at the deal itself. What will it cash flow? What's its DSCR, debt service coverage ratio? A lot of people want the deal to be upwards of 1.25 or above.
Could you repeat that, please, sir?
Okay, yes. So a lender is gonna want its cash flow, its net income to be 1.25 times what the mortgage is, or the PITI, which is principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So they want it to be a good enough cash flow asset to make sure that they cover that mortgage. And they're also gonna test it at like 10% vacancy, 10% property management, plus the CapEx that you need to put into it as well.
They want to see reserves, or they want to see?
Some do, some don't. It depends. A single family, I haven't ran into a problem with having to have reserves in there. Multifamily will, but that's a completely different avenue lending. Those lenders are completely different.
How much does your own personal credit come into play on the amount of money they'll let you pull out?
It can. I mean, again, it depends on the lender. Since I started, my credit has just gone through the bank, through the floor because of that first flip that I had. I had to take out so much debt to cover off that property, and that house. It's going to be great in the long run, but it has put me behind the 8 ball. So I had to make my wife a large owner of the companies to tap into her much higher credit score.
So question.
Yes, sir.
So you said you use your personal credit for these, not business?
I did when I first started.
But you switched over?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no, you can take out your own personal credit and then put it into your company
Yeah.
as a, not an owner draw. When you put money into your own company.
Owner's equity.
Exactly. What?
Owner's equity.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much. Struggling. Let's
Yeah,
see.
young man. Hey, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, you have a system that determines what areas are considered a hot market or cold market?
Erica and Claudio, that's my system for that. I don't. I really don't. That's a great question. I've never paid much attention to that, because I think it's cyclical. And how are you gonna tell what's gonna be hot or cold in 3 to 6 months when you get done with your project? I'm not a fan of trying to project out things. If I did, I would just do stock market. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Outside of yourself, could all the cash buyers raise your hands, please? Father, young wholesale.
Entrepreneurship.
Thank you. Including yourself, right?
Of course.
All right.
Not for like 3 more months, but.
Okay. Keep in mind.
Thank you.
All right.
Anybody else?
All right. Thanks, Jonathan. Woo! All right, everyone. That's it for tonight. Please stick around. network. Obviously, some people have deals, some people have money, some people are vendors, some people need other people to connect with. Personally, I'm an agent and an investor and a buyer, by the way. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for coming, guys. Again, next event, cash flow game night. Come see me. It's about whip and cash flow. Find me next Tuesday. Thanks a lot, guys.